I'm Jan from Jotkulture, Cultural Intellectual Property Consulting. According to the Korean Herald, Nori, a popular Korean game, has been added to Korea's list of intangible cultural heritage or cultural intellectual property. Nori is a Korean board game that has been played for generations, and it is traditionally played on a Korean holiday that is the first day of the Lunar New Year, as well as a holiday that celebrates the first full moon of the lunar calendar. Korea's Cultural Heritage Administration announced recently that it was adding this Korean board game to its list, it's number 16 on the list, of Korea's intangible cultural heritage. Why would Korea want to add a board game to its list of intangible cultural heritage? And how do we consider a board game to be cultural intellectual property? Well, there are a couple of ways we can think about this. First of all, this is something that has been done through the generations, has been handed down, playing this game on these traditional Korean holidays, and so it fits within our general understanding of know-how and ways of doing things that are passed down from generation to generation. It's also tied to cultural celebration in Korea, so it also fits our idea of cultural heritage in that way. But when we talk about intangible cultural heritage, we start to think about cultural intellectual property. So how does the board game fit, and why might a government decide to list a board game, as Korea has done, as part of its cultural heritage, its intangible cultural heritage? And I can think of a couple of reasons, aside from the fact that it is part of the cultural identity and the celebration. But protecting the board game, or having the board game recognized, is perhaps a way to limit the ability of companies to detach the Korean heritage from the board game. So let's say a company decided they wanted to come up with a new board game, and maybe they do something based on Nori, they call it something different, and they present it as though it's their own novel board game, and it becomes popularized in that way. So while a company might not immediately face legal obstacles because Korea's laws or definitions of their own cultural heritage may not have legal consequences, it will certainly make it harder for any good faith company, any socially responsible company, to just do that, to just sell the Korean game. So it is a way of preserving cultural identity without blocking anyone from doing anything, but at least that connection remains. I'm Jan from Jotkulture, Cultural Intellectual Property Consulting. Join me on my YouTube channel for discussions of traditional knowledge, cultural heritage, and cultural intellectual property.